Welcome to Astrology and Earth Magic. I'm Jennifer with some astrological wisdom for our new moon coming up in Taurus on April 27th, and that is at 7 degrees 46 minutes Taurus, and that is going to happen around 5:31 p.m. here Eastern Standard Time, so New England time. So I wanted to get this video out early. It looks like this one's going to be a pretty intense new moon, even if it is in Taurus, which is usually a calmer kind of energy, but this one has a lot of stuff going on around it. And then next week I'm going to do our Easter special, so stay tuned for that. You want to make sure that you get notified and subscribe. Don't forget the button right down there. So Taurus is a fixed earth sign, and in Taurus we crave stability. We love the finer things in life, and that is good food and wine and clothing, beautiful things, the world you can see behind us here that is just starting to sprout back to life this time of year, and it is about just the beauty of nature and its sensuality as opposed to the sexuality of Aries. Taurus is more the romantic. So things are figuratively and literally just becoming rooted. So as seeds begin to take hold and nature's bounty really begins its cycle of growth, just as the days, they are growing longer, which is really nice because right now it would be dark if it was just about a month ago. So being able to get outside and appreciate it is really nice. You know, you can see a little bit here. I mean, we're a little slower because we're up in the mountains, but plants, leaves, buds starting to get growing here. You got Chief sitting on a little fern that's coming back to life. So the new moon in Taurus is like an extension, I feel, of our previous Aries intentions, because that is that cardinal Aries initiative energy. And then Taurus is now the time to make these intentions more permanent, because that is that fixed energy of Taurus. It wants things to be permanent. It wants things kind of set in stone. A new moon in Taurus is just a good time to really just know what you want and start getting fixated on stuff. Take what is working and run with it. Grow upon it, expand your successes, and then graciously leave your failures behind. So this is what you want to do with the new moon. You want to grow upon the successes you had in the past with those past cycles, and then we want to regroup and restart again with something new, maybe to build upon. Taurus is determined, steadfast. It's very stubborn as well, and very set in their ways of, you know, their beliefs, and so not a lot. They're going to probably give you a lot of pushback. So this is not all going to be, you know, a beautiful, fun, life blooming around us type energy with this new moon, though. This is knowing this, though, knowing and seeing this when things start getting crazy. And I don't know if you can hear it because I have my microphone on, but I'm sitting next to a stream here. I'm hearing it bubbling, and this is where I like to go when I start getting stressed, when the world starts getting too much, when you're at work all day and you're thinking, then you just need to get out and clear your head, because this is what will keep us sane when the whole world around us is going insane. And it looks like that is just what's may happen. So what's really working against us with this new moon is the opposition with Mars, and that's in fiery Leo in the fire sign, and then Pluto that's in Aquarius. So they're in an opposition, which is actually exact the day before this new moon. So really tight, a little bit, I would say separating, but really not too much. This opposition creates actually a T-square with the new moon, because the new moon, sun and the moon conjunct, obviously, are they're square to Mars, and then they are also square to Pluto. So that creates a T-square when you have two that are opposite and then the square, kind of like a little hat. So Mars is much happier in Leo than it was in the watery Cancer sign, and having to, be nicey and kind of that more warm and fuzzy that, Mars isn't super thrilled about, but now it's in fiery Leo. It's fueled by drive and a big ego, because this is Leo. Leo wants to be center of attention. Leo wants to start things. Again, it is a fixed energy though. These are all fixed energies, obviously, because they're all square to each other. So Pluto in Aquarius is trying to change the world. So, and it's really, Pluto is the authority, and then it's transformative and completely transforming what has been, gutting out everything to resurrect as something new. And so where Uranus is more of like a quick change, not always permanent, Pluto is that total transformational type energy. But that stubborn Taurus, is squaring both, so Mars and Pluto. So it's going to create a lot of just really intense drama, because it doesn't want to have this big change. People are afraid. And now looking at how this is playing out, if you just look at how the US government is right now, and even if you're not in the United States, I'm sure you're hearing about all the craziness that's going on here. It's just really, astrology is completely just mapping out what's going on with the government, because we have Doge, I'm sure you've heard about that, and it's just gutting out, again, that getting rid of the waste. And then we have the protests, the resistance. So Doge is kind of like that Pluto, getting rid of what it doesn't need, gutting it out, getting ready to just transform the government. And then we have the protests and the resistance. Now that is that Mars energy that's just like combative, that is not willing to back down and is just, fighting with everything they have. Really extreme egos on both sides, and they're all at an all-time high, I think. We have one side boasting of these huge cuts and all the money we're gonna save, and then then the other side is saying, oh, we're losing money, I told you so, and they were gonna just take over, and just blamelessness either way. No one wants to take the blame for anything bad that's going on. It's just the blame game back and forth. Now this it's a separating new moon square, actually. So you may feel as though you're trying to separate yourself from all the hysteria that's going on around us, really. Pretty much this is externally. So, and again, this is when I say to get away, you're gonna wanna, get out in nature. With this Taurus, if things are getting too much, get out in nature, watch it blooming, take advantage of, the water still is not started to dry up. It's not too hot yet. The forest is starting to come alive. If you have something like that near you, anything that gets you out in nature. If you live in the city, get outside, see a grassy patch. You might see some dandelions starting to poke through. These are the things that are going to keep you grounded when there's just hysteria going on and protests everywhere. And I don't know about y'all, but I just have no interest in any of that. I just want to go along with my life, and we'll just see how things play out, because to me, I'm not going to waste my whole day when I could be out in something beautiful like this and just screaming and yelling and being negative. So, but that's just me. You guys do whatever you want. So, that is kind of the external nature of it. Now, internally, on a personal level, maybe having a lot of in-conflicts. So that back and forth might be within yourself. You may be feeling stuck or trapped, feeling like, I want this so bad, and this is what I want, and this is what I feel like I'm destined for, but it doesn't seem like I'll ever be able to achieve it. And it might be just like, you might feel like you just want to give up on your dreams, but you can't do that. You want to, really keep those dreams going and, work, say you're intentions every morning and say, I can do this and I'm going to do this, and it might take a little bit of time. Again, if these are recent intentions and is this what you're starting with this new moon, Taurus is more of the slower sign. It's that tortoise and not the Aries, what's the hare. But when you take things a little bit slower, if you know the saying about the tortoise and the hare, the tortoise, because slow and steady, wins the race. So if you take things slower and not so impulsively and kind of just trudge along, you can actually make things stick and make things permanent. Now, this mindset also, though, can be caused by oppositions. Remember of that opposition of Pluto and Mars, and this could be contention with your superiors. It could be bosses or your management. Maybe it could even be your parents. It could be just the general shackles of responsibility that, again, make you feel hopeless. Like, I want to just pack up and move to Montana, and just kind of one of my intentions. So I left it out there so much, and that's kind of what I want to do. But no, I have to have a job. I have to have money. I have to, and I have family here. So you have those responsibilities and those things that kind of tether you in place. So that's why you have to kind of, okay, how am I going to do this? And make those plans. These feelings can also really be exacerbated by the Saturn-Venus North Node conjunction that is in Pisces, because it makes a lot of us with Pisces a lot confused. We could be untrusting. We could be, again, feeling restricted and limited. That's that Saturn. It's restricting us. We're limited. We're getting barriers thrown up at us. We are getting, that resistance. And that can be confusing. That Pisces does add a little bit of confusion in there. We can also see, though, the astrology playing out. When we look at, everything that's going on in the world, Saturn is cuts and cutbacks and, cutting spending. So they're cutting out a lot of the things that they're giving money to. And that spending, Venus, that's money, and they're trying to achieve certain goals, like to, take down the, the amount the United States owes, and make money back on tariffs and all this stuff. And that is the North Node. We have the goals to be having free trade and not tariff trade. So it's really hard to even deny the astrology that's at work here, and that is why for the last few years, a lot of astrologers have been focusing on this year, because they know with all these big planet changes and ingresses into the next sign, that is causing a lot of these big changes. So personally, again, we may see this playing out with we could be experiencing some financial setbacks, or even relationship type setbacks. Maybe you thought you were gonna do something in your relationship, go a little bit farther, and then things just don't seem to be working out that way. And same things with financial setbacks. So Saturn will really force you to deal with it. Saturn kind of likes to hit you with reality a little bit. And when Pisces has us kind of like longing for an easy way, gives you kind of that unrealistic and that perception and that delusional contentment, like, oh, I can do this. And, it's like, I grew up with people that they always wanted to work for themselves, and I'm not gonna have a boss, I'm gonna start my own business. And this one person I knew, he started so many different businesses, but none of them worked out. So it's, again, Saturn is forcing you, not that you can't start your own business, but you have to have a good foundation to get it started. And like Pisces does have you seeing those rosy things and having that imagination, like, I can do this and I'm gonna go with the flow and it'll just happen. But you have to actually have that good foundation, and that's kind of what Saturn just kind of slaps that boundary there, and just like, hey, pay attention, because this ain't working out. So it's like, thinking, if I do this, I'll be rich, I'll find my soulmate. Oh, I just need to do this, I'll find my soulmate, and I'll do this. But again, Saturn isn't always so nice. But Saturn also can be great if you put in the work. and put in what it takes. So Saturn is limitations, and if limitations aren't forced upon you, you may have to implement them yourself. So you might have to just kind of use your own mindset, just kind of like, okay, I need to do this. I need to focus. I can't stop daydreaming. I need to focus on what I'm doing now, maybe focus on the job I'm in now so I can make the money to then do what I want to do a little bit later on. So also with this new moon, I encourage you to beware and be aware. So first, you want to beware of acting on impulse. You're going to have those urges that you can't control because you do have that Mars figuring prominently in that square. And also you want to try avoiding splurging, spending money on a whim. Put some thought behind how you spend or invest, and limitations on spending, like budgeting, for instance, or, I'm going to save this much money, each paycheck, I'm going to put this much money away. So things like that will really help. And, there's something that you really want in life, but practicality over impracticality will help you get through. So again, you want that slow and steady to just get ready for it. My dog is staring off into something over there, and I just don't know. Usually I'm out in the middle of nowhere, but we're not near any trails, but who knows, maybe it's just a deer running around. Hopefully anyway. So recently, to go back, I invested in my first stock. So stupidly, I did it during a Mercury and Venus retrograde. Like, what was wrong with me? I warn everybody about this stuff. Don't buy anything. Don't buy big luxury items. Don't buy, don't spend a lot of money. Don't throw out all your wardrobe and buy a whole new one. This is Venus retrograde. This is Mercury retrograde. And I'm online buying stock. Like, what am I thinking? So what happens? Okay, well, we know what happens. Duh. Because of the retrograde. Well, I hope so anyway, because I hope it changes once it starts moving direct. It just like totally took a dive. And it took a dive. I mean, I didn't buy a lot. I'm going to say that. I say you only want to invest what you're willing to lose. Same thing as if you go gambling. You don't want to like borrow money to go gambling. Just bring what you're willing to lose. But of course, it went down and kind of went up a little bit, but it's just like, I warned my husband about purchases during this time of year. I say it to him all the time. I said, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And he actually bought a car, and I made him do it before Venus went retrograde. I said, or you can't buy it until after it goes direct. And he's like, well, I really want it. So he bought it before. So it's just, you want to beware of making mistakes like that can really, and I don't mean it only has to do with astrology, but I just mean in general, just that acting on impulse. Ooh, look at this stock. I think I'm going to buy it. This looks like interesting, and I think everyone's going to love this. So I'm just going to buy it. You want to think it through. You want to use maybe my mistakes as a learning experience for yourself. So, also, be aware. So be aware of others around you acting on impulse as well. So you want to beware of acting on impulse yourself, and then be aware of others. You want to be aware of over-controlling behavior, and that means you too, though. You want to, maybe you feel like you're in control. Maybe you're over-controlling, but deep down you actually feel like you're out of control. And most important, others around us might feel the same way. They might feel out of control, and they might do rash or irrational things to make themselves feel like they are more in control. And that could be doing something against the government, maybe. So I pulled the president's chart just to kind of take a look. He has a loosening of the bond at its peak, and that's just days after. And his peak periods aren't necessarily great. He's got his insect malefic, Mars, and his peak is in the 10th house. So the loosing of the bonds are kind of like leaving something behind, and that's always kind of how it's worked out for me. It's just kind of like, okay, kind of starting fresh, starting a new chapter. And that's how you look at these loosing of the bonds. So who knows what that could mean. So he's also got transiting Jupiter on his north node conjunct his sun. But still, Jupiter is that positive planet, of course. Still though, Uranus is wreaking havoc on that MC square to his natal Mars, which is similar to when the last assassination, actually the first assassination attempt. I don't know if the other one really counts because there was no shot off, but I guess he was there to do it. So, but the first one. So if I was him, I'd probably lay low for a while. If he has an astrologer, I'm sure they're warning him of this. So, maybe you won't go golfing that weekend. Who knows? I'm sure a lot of people wish you would, but you know what? I don't wish bad upon anybody. But this can also mean a huge propulsion. After the first attempt, it could be, he became very huge, and that picture came out, and he was like, oh my God, he's a hero, and God saved him, and this was meant to be. And that could be another thing that happens here. So that loosing of the bond could be maybe releasing a little bit of the past things that didn't quite work out to propel him higher up. But we'll just have to wait and see how that works out. But again, the only thing I do really like about this sun moon conjunction, this new moon, it's an applying opposition with Vesta. So Vesta is our sense of purpose. It's our sacred spaces in our homes. If we have, say, an altar, if we have a hearth or whatever, even the kitchen table, the things that we like to gather around and that are really special, family around the table. Again, if you have an altar, things like that, that's really, just what the heart of your home is all about. Now that's also our sense of purpose, of what we are meant for in this earth. Vesta is also kind of that last leg of the T-square, because if you think about it, it's square to Mars and Pluto, because it is opposite the new moon. It's a little bit farther off because this is an applying opposition. So, and the new moon is actually separating from the two squares, so it's applying to this. So Vesta is the moon is in opposition, is like your desire to be independent, but you need love and support. It's like, I want to do this on my own, but I just can't. I just need love, and I just need support, and I need somebody with me. The sun is that sacred devotion. Again, this is what I mean about having like an altar or your hearth fire. It can bring tensions around. So how are you going to kind of control those tensions? If you do have an altar, and if you do tune in, because we're going to be showing some different things you could do to kind of alleviate those tensions and bring things down a little bit. Our convictions, even our religious convictions, especially nowadays, we're getting up on Easter. Like I said, we have the Easter Spectacular coming up next week, and this is where we really deep dive into the astrology and the ancient folklore of Easter, bringing in all the old traditions and seeing how Christianity has kind of grouped in with that. And I find it just fascinating. I hope you guys will too. But so if that is where your hearth fire is that your religion, you could have some things going on there, maybe starting something new, maybe growing it a little bit more. And this is, with that new moon opposite Vesta, could be growing it, could be grappling with it. Like, okay, what is working for me and what's not? Does this really make sense for me anymore? So I think this could be a real big learning experience for all of us. So, and the end of April, again, might not be all wine and roses, because we're ending on this new moon with a lot of somewhat nasty stuff going on around it. But with self-control, we can get through it. I know it's not hard to just act, and you want something so badly that it just feels like an impossibility. It's like that craving is there. But I know Jupiter, again, not to make this about myself, but like, you just see the astrology once you know your chart, and then learning what's coming up with the transits kind of gets you prepared, or it will be like, that's why I feel like this, and that's what astrology does for me. Sometimes if I don't even look at my chart for a while, all of a sudden I'll be like, oh, now that makes sense. That's why I've been feeling mopey. That's why I've been feeling like this. But Jupiter has been transiting my natal Vesta and Saturn. So like, I deeply feel where I need to be in my life, but I also feel stuck and I don't know how to get there. So that is that Vesta, that's that hearth fire, that's that drawing, that's that, what is making your fire just burn. But then that Saturn is stifling it down, and Jupiter is just really putting this and grading it through my head, because it's in Gemini. So of course this is your mind, and your mind is just thinking. So, but again, I have my little altar. I do my daily intentions that keep me going, keep me motivated. I do my yoga after I work out, get outside and stuff like this. It's gonna make you feel better, I promise. So what help keeps you motivated? Let me know what helps you. Let me know in the comments. Just don't give up. Keep going. Don't give up. That is key. So if you like this video, please hit the like button and make sure you subscribe. We got lots of fun things coming up, and get notified for all the upcoming videos I have, because knowledge is power, you guys. So I will see y'all soon. Bye.